Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's telephone town hall. I'm Adam Hardiman with the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force, and I'll be your moderator again this evening. Thank you for being with us for our 11th telephone town hall that has seen thousands of you join us so far. Before we begin, if you are on a cell phone and your call gets dropped, you can rejoin us by streaming it at rmwb.ca/townhall. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to Jeanette Bankars, the chair of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, for a brief introduction. Jeanette?
Thank you, Adam. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. The Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee and Task Force, in collaboration with the Government of Alberta, Council, municipal staff, and our many partners, continues to be here for you as we work together to help the community recover. While we have made some progress together as a community, we recognize there is much more to be done. We will continue to work diligently every day to get you home safely. I'd like to introduce you to tonight's participants. From the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, we have Councillor Sheldon Germain and Alan Vinnie, and committee member Marty Giles. From the Wood Buffalo Recovery Task Force and the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, we have Dana Woodworth, Team Leader, Recovery Task Force, Aaron O'Neill, Team Lead, Operations with the Recovery Task Force, Andra Haley, Economic Development Officer, and also joining us are from the Canadian Red Cross, Melanie Solaire and Kelly Forbes, from the Insurance Bureau of Canada, Rob Dupree and Dave Johnson, from Specs, Mike Kirkwood. Last Thursday at Shell Place in McDonald Island, we held our 6th Here For You community engagement session. The session was entitled Permits and What's Next, and focused on the requirements for the rebuilding process. Thanks again to the many of you that attended for taking the time to join us. We look forward to continuing the conversation this week. This continued dialogue and the ideas you provide will help guide our vision of recovery and will drive our decision making. This week, join us Wednesday at 6 p.m. for the next public meeting of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee in Council Chambers at the Jubilee Centre. You can view the agenda for the meeting at rmwb.ca. If you can't make it, the meeting is streamlined online at rmwb.ca and is also broadcast live on Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. Also on Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. at the McMurray Experience, there will be a special Here For You community engagement session regarding hazardous tree removal underway in the community. At the session, you will have the chance to learn about the selective removal and disposal of burnt trees along perimeter trails, roadways, municipal property, park infrastructure, and in burned neighborhoods within the urban service area of Fort McMurray. This public safety initiative is anticipated to include the removal of burnt trees that have fallen, those with burnt roots that are leaning but haven't fallen, and trees that are partially burnt near the base and have little to no structural support. This work is not related to the Fire Smart program. The project is expected to include areas of Thickwood, Abasand, Beacon Hill, waterways, and the lower town site. Detailed maps showing the areas to receive tree removal are available at rmwb.ca/recovery. Also on Thursday, from 4 to 8 p.m., we are here for you at our weekly community engagement session at Shell Place at McDonald Island Park. This week's session will focus on financial and other supports available for our uninsured and underinsured residents. We'll also be there to discuss any general recovery questions you might have. Then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, please visit the Here For You booth at the Fort McMurray Tourism Fall Trade Show and Market at McDonald Island. We'll be there all weekend to hear from you and get your feedback on recovery. We will also be participating in the Ask the Expert portion of the trade show. Please check rmwb.ca/engage for the latest times and locations for community engagement sessions and to view past presentations and session recaps. Now, I'd like to update you on some of the areas that we received the most questions about on last week's town hall, at our community engagement sessions, on social media, and through the Pulse line. On interim housing support, the Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation is still accepting applications on behalf of the Government of Alberta for interim family housing. Details of the application process, eligibility, and available financial assistance are outlined on the Provincial Recovery website at alberta.ca/wildfire-recovery. For those of you interested and would like more information, there is also a demonstration home set up at the Youth Assessment Centre, which is located at 180 Mackenzie Boulevard. It is open from noon to 7:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, and from noon to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Staff are available to help you complete applications or answer any questions you might have. If you are outside the region, you can still apply by contacting the Wood Buffalo Housing and Development Corporation at 780-743-4140. On demolition and rebuilding, significant progress has been made on demolition and debris cleanup. There have been 1,545 demolition permit applications received, 1,510 permits issued, 376 post-demolition inspections have been completed, and 71 rebuild development permits have been approved. Home construction is underway. If you haven't already, we encourage you to apply for your demolition permit as soon as possible so the community can meet the September 30th deadline for removal and disposal of all tackified debris, ash, soil, and other hazards. Once debris has been removed, the process for Phase 2 re-entry to green or standing homes in restricted areas will begin. On waterways, we invite all waterways residents that haven't done so already to take the Waterways Rebuilding Options Survey by calling the Pulse line at 780-743-7000. The survey, which outlines 3 proposed options for rebuilding in waterways, was available at our recent community engagement session on waterways and has seen strong participation, but we want to get as much feedback from you as possible. Your input will inform and guide us in making a recommendation to Council on next steps for waterways. As part of the survey, you can also tell us about other options you would like us to consider. Thank you once again to all of our waterways residents for your strength, resolve, and patience as we work together to solve the complex issues facing waterways. We look forward to hosting another community engagement session soon to provide an update on the work that's been done to get you home safely. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Jeanette, and thanks you to all our callers who are out there who have submitted calls already and also have gone online. Remember to ask a question. Press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to one of our great operators. If you are joining us online, you can type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. Before we move on, Rob Dupree from the Insurance Bureau of Canada has a brief update. Rob?
Thank you, Adam, and thank you everyone to listening in to the Town Hall. IBC continues to be available both in Fort McMurray and by phone and email to provide support, guidance, and assistance when you have questions about insurance. We have consumer information officers that can help answer your general insurance questions. We can be reached at 1-844-227-5422 or by email at fortmac, that's FORTMAC, fire@ibc.ca. For face-to-face discussions right here in Fort McMurray, Dave Johnson continues to be available at the Back to Business Resource Center located in the Hardin Street building. Dave is there weekdays between 10 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. to answer your questions. Now, as the weather starts to turn colder, one frequently asked questions that we have heard around the community is, can I rebuild in winter? The answer is yes. There are a number of challenges with building during the winter months that you'll need to discuss not only with your contractor, but as well as with your insurer. The Alberta Building Code has specific requirements that contractors must meet when pouring concrete, working on foundations, and excavating in colder temperatures. These rules are in place to protect property owners from additional costs associated with materials not performing properly because they were installed in colder weather. Now, the question on top of that many of you have had, will my insurer pay the additional costs associated with a winter rebuild? I encourage you to speak with your insurance representative about the increased cost. Depending on your policy and your coverage limits, the increased costs may be covered by your policy. Your insurance representative will tell you if the added costs of a winter rebuild will be covered by your policy. Other frequently asked questions are located at ibc.ca. Check us out online. Click on the Fort McMurray and surrounding area link for additional details and additional resources. IBC, we are here to help.
Well, thank you very much, Rob, and as always, we will do our best to answer your questions tonight, so let's get started. Remember to press *3 to ask a question, and one of our operators will take your question, or you can type that question into the question field, rmwb.ca/townhall. So we're going to go to our first question. This one is coming in online. I'm going to combine a few questions because they're similar here. This one's from Brian, and he's asking a couple questions for the Red Cross. First one is Red Cross able to assist us past 3 months? We lost our home and didn't have contents insurance. And he follows up and says, where can I get help with my rent and mortgage? And then a third question we had come in as well. How is Red Cross approaching the various needs for assistance, and what are some examples of how the Red Cross can help? So I'm going to go to Melanie Solaire, who's out there with the Red Cross. Maybe you could take Brian's question as well as our other question too. Thanks.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks, Brian, for asking your question. I'll take Brian's question first. Initially, we were providing 3 months housing assistance for both rent and mortgage. We picked a 3-month term to complement the existing Alberta WETA program, and again, recognizing that we have wait times to see a caseworker. So provided the basic criteria was met, 3 months was provided. If additional housing support is required, I would recommend that you call back the housing line, make an appointment with one of our locations in Fort McMurray. The booking number is 1-888-553-5505, and further housing assistance is available upon further case assessment in our office or over the phone with one of our caseworkers. In regards to the other question, how is the Red Cross approaching various needs for assistance, and what are some examples of how we can help? Just a reminder that our assistance is available for people who are permanent residents of the Wood Buffalo region at the time of evacuation, regardless of which province they are now located in. The Red Cross can assist with items such as food, clothing, medical equipment, items for babies and children, transportation support, and occupational items that may help residents return to work. We can also assist with rent or mortgage payments and damage deposits, as well as the replacement of furniture, appliances, and household goods for those without insurance or without enough insurance to meet their needs. Again, anyone in need of assistance can call us at 888-553-5505 to make an appointment. We are accepting walk-in clients as well. People who walk in will be triaged to ensure that those with the most urgent needs are met first. We are also taking a number of steps to ensure we have a variety of approaches for how people can access our assistance. For instance, we're conducting assessments for housing assistance, such as rental or mortgage payments, over the phone to decrease the demand for appointments in our Fort McMurray office. We have also started conducting assessments for assistance over the phone, where we have caseworkers calling out to individuals with appointments booked at our Fort McMurray office. We are also currently developing our capacity to conduct outreach to more remote areas or directly to vulnerable populations who may not be able to visit us at our Fort McMurray office. I'm pleased to say that we have secured a new location just down the street from our Hardin office, and we'll be moving there imminently. At this location, we will have more caseworkers conducting appointments with residents. Overall, these steps are helping us to reduce wait times and meet the needs of more people in the community. We understand that as communities impacted by the fires move forward down the recovery process, the needs of residents will evolve. We are working closely in collaboration with our community partners, including the RMWB, to continually assess how we can better address the needs of residents impacted by the fires moving forward. Thanks, Adam.
Well, thanks so much for that, Melanie, and thank you as well to Brian for the question. We're also going to go to committee member Marty Giles, who'd like to weigh in. Marty.
Thanks, Adam, and thanks, Brian, on all the three great questions here. One other thing as well is on Wednesday's Wood Buffalo Recovery meeting, Melanie will be actually in Fort McMurray along with John Evans from United Way, and they will start to explain about the community partnerships table. So I would encourage anybody in the social profit sector to either live stream it or come down to Jubilee Center because there will be funding through the community partnership table, which is going to be co-chaired by the Red Cross and United Way. Plus, it'll also explain what the United Way and Red Cross will be doing outside the community partnerships table. So Melanie gave a great whole bunch of different options there as well, but I would encourage as many people as possible to listen to Wednesday's meeting. And also there'll be a presentation from for the uninsured and underinsured as well with Wood Buffalo Housing as well. So just some more information on Wednesday that you can get help.
Well, thank you very much, Marty. And of course, our next committee meeting coming up on Wednesday. Thanks for putting on your United Way hat as well there for us. So we're going to keep going. Our next question, actually, we're going to go back to Melanie, if you can take this one, because we just had a question come in from Nicole, which is Red Cross related, about the back to school program. So if you could give us a quick update on where that stands right at the moment and how people can access that assistance.
Sure. Thanks for that question. The back to school program has been a good success for us, both deploying financial assistance through a backpack program directly through the school board, and also supplementing that program as clients present themselves at our Hardin Street office and over the phone. We continue to offer that program, and folks can go down to our Hardin office to receive assistance still to date. We're also working on a program with teachers in the local area to be able to assist teachers through the school board to be able to replenish school supplies as well.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole, for the question. Thank you, Melanie, as well. We're going to go back to our online portion. We got two questions here. One is from Norm, our friend Norm. One's from Danielle. So they're both very similar. I think, Aaron, this will be one for you. Question from Norm is there a tentative completion of cleanup and phase 2 reentry? So I guess we mean green home reentry. Then Danielle is asking, is the September 30th deadline for specs for all burnt home removal, including foundations, or is it just debris? So maybe you can talk about that process and what's coming up after September 30th.
Thank you, and thank you for the question. So as many know, there was demolition orders issued against all the properties that the ash and debris needed to be cleaned up by September 30th. The municipality issued a request for proposal, or an RFP, which closed on Friday, and we will be evaluating those proposals and determining a contractor to go forward with the lots that have not been cleaned up after October 1st. Regarding specs, we do have a representative to specs that can respond to their process. However, the requirement as per the demolition order is that the ash and debris is removed by September 30th, and the foundation is either backfilled or an alternate means of securing that foundation is put in place by October 30th, 2016.
Thanks very much, Aaron. I'll also go to Mike Kirkwood, who's here with us from Specs tonight.
Thank you very much. We are fully in compliance with the schedule as advised to us by the contractor. With respect to the first two phases of our work, the metals have been removed, and all fire debris activity for removal will be completed this week. So we expect to be fully in compliance with the order. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Mike. And I know, Norm, we didn't answer all of your questions, so I'm actually going to go back to Aaron O'Neill, our operations lead with the task force, to talk about Phase 2 reentry.
Thanks, Adam, and sorry, Norm, I missed that second part of the question. So Phase 2 re-entry is contingent on the ash and debris being removed from these areas. We are working on a plan, and we will work with our contractor to target those areas so that the green home re-entry area will be prioritized. However, as a drop-dead date, we are looking to have that ash and debris all cleaned up by October 30th at the latest.
Well, thanks very much, Norm and Danielle, for the questions. Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Aaron. Just to remember everyone out there, press *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to one of our most excellent operators. And if you're joining us online, please type your question into the question field, rmwb.ca/townhall. We are going to go to the phones. And Aaron, are you there?
Yes. Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. My question is related to the post-demolition inspections. I'm just wondering, like I posed this question last week, and I'm kind of still waiting to hear back, and so I hope somebody on the panel can answer me. We have a builder in our area that's kind of ready to go, and I know there's other areas of the city that are also kind of non-restricted, and some areas, even within restricted areas, are able to start building right away. So I know that there's a big influx of inspection requests coming into the city because Specs is moving right along with the demo. But my question is there any process put in place to prioritize those areas that can get started right away rather than waiting to the spring to make sure those inspections are completed so that builders can start applying for development and building permits?
Well, thanks very much, Aaron, for the questions. Very good question. We'll actually go to another Aaron, Aaron O'Neill, if she could take that one, Aaron.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Aaron, for the question. Our development compliance officers are doing the pre- and post-inspections in addition to our utility operators making sure those services have been cut and capped. There isn't a specific that word's not just going to come out for me tonight. So there isn't a specific priority area that we are doing those in, but our development compliance officers are proceeding with that. But I have taken your number down, and I will make sure that we get back to you tomorrow to make sure that we can get those inspections done for you.
Well, thanks very much, Aaron, for the question. Thanks, Aaron, for the answer. We're going to go back to our online portion. We have a lot of online questions this evening. Kind of a two-parter here. So this one's from Lori, and I think it'd be a good question for Aaron and probably one of our counselors who's here. Her first piece for question is she's asking, why are the development permits in Abasand on hold, and how long will they be on hold for? And secondly, she's asking, permits on hold shorten the time to get our foundations in by October, are extending the due dates on permits. I'm not sure about the second part, but I'll go to Aaron and maybe Councillor Germain if you can weigh in on that as well.
Thank you, Adam. Permits in Abasand and Beacon Hill can be issued provided you meet the regulations of the land use bylaw. So those can be issued and foundations and pilings can be installed. The Council is reviewing a overlay bylaw which will look to mitigate any of the houses that would wish to rebuild the exact same footprint that can't do that under the current land use bylaw. They are looking at doing that. So for any permits in Abasand that they may be on hold, they may be waiting for that overlay bylaw to be passed by Council. That is going to Council on September 27th for Council to review. There is also the bylaw which is restricting development in waterways and anything more than the foundations and pilings in Abasand and Beacon Hill, and that will be reviewed by Council tomorrow night at the meeting at 6 p.m.
Well, thank you so much for that, Aaron. I think you covered all our bases for us, and thank you, Lori, for the question. We are going to go back to the phones for our next question. Tim, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How you doing?
Not too bad. My question is, I had my land cleaned about a month ago, and when I was up there last week, I seen Specs was cleaning the property beside me. They ran into my retaining wall and broke it. I've already settled with my insurance company, so who's going to pay for this retaining wall?
Well, thanks so much, Tim, for the question. We'll go to Mr. Mike Kirkwood, who's with us from Specs, to take that one for us.
Tim, thank you very much for the question. Without having any site-specific details, it's hard for me to answer exactly what your question is. However, I have your phone number, and we will be following up. This will be a question to discuss, I think, between ourselves, our contractor, and the insurance companies. Specs' role here is as project manager, and the contractor, Fort McMurray First Nations 468, and together with Morgan Construction, are responsible for the physical work. So we will definitely investigate this, and we will be in touch. Thank you for the question.
Well, thanks very much, Tim, and thank you, Mike, as well. So we're going to go back to the phones here, and this one fits into an earlier question we had. Nelson, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Nelson. How you doing?
Oh, good.
Go right ahead with your question, sir.
So my question is for those of us that have had their lots cleared for a while in Beacon Hill, for instance, is there any way to streamline our permit processes so we can get our houses, foundations in our houses started before the cold weather hits us?
Well, thank you so much, Nelson, for the question. We'll go to Aaron O'Neill once again, our operations lead in recovery. Aaron.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Nelson, for the question. So permits can be applied for in all of our areas of town. If you meet the current restrictions in the land use bylaw, you will be issued your permits and you will be able to go forward with your foundation. If you do not meet the current regulations in our land use bylaw, but you are building back to the same footprint, Council will be reviewing an overlay bylaw next Tuesday, September 27th, to make that possible for you. So if anyone has those concerns, we do encourage you to join us at Council next Tuesday night.
Thank you so much, Aaron, and thank you, Nelson, for the question. We're going to go back to our online portion. This question's from Jim. He's saying, I'm pleased to see about much of the support the RMWB and other stakeholders have provided for our local business community. I'd like to learn more about the Back to Business coaching program. I heard one of my colleagues talking about it. Can someone please explain what this means to me and my business? So I'm going to go to Andrea Haley with our Economic Development Department to take that one for us. Andrea, go right ahead.
Thank you so much, Adam, and thank you so much for the question. So the Back to Business coaching program is where a business owner can receive one-on-one business coaching and advice with a certified management consultant. So the purpose of the program is to help local business owners define issues, set priorities, and establish an action plan that can be implemented immediately. So this is really great one-on-one time with a certified management consultant and free for all eligible businesses. And you can receive up to 12 hours for support. For more information on it, please go to www.choosewoodbuffalo.ca. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much, Jim, for the question. Thank you, Andrea, for that answer and for the work that economic development is doing for the businesses in our region. So we're going to go back to the phones and a question here from Noreen. Noreen, are you there? Noreen, are you still with us?
Yes.
It's already there.
Yes, you have to.
Hello?
Noreen on this one. Is she there with us?
Hello?
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Go right ahead with your question.
This is a question for the insurance folks. I'm wondering if there's a realistic timeline when we can expect some resolution or somewhere we can go to escalate the getting back of our expenses during our evacuation. We've been carrying this debt on our credit card since May for rent and meals and things, expenses that we incurred when we were evacuated, and we can't seem to get any any resolution or answer back from our adjuster. So I wonder if what is a reasonable time limit for when these things should be resolved, or is there and how do we escalate it?
Well, thank you so much, Noreen, for the question. I'm going to go to Rob Dupree with IBC to take that one. Rob?
Hi, Noreen, and thank you for the question. I'm very sorry that you're having some challenges with your insurance company and with your adjuster. It certainly can't be a good feeling. It sounds like you're doing everything right. You've documented everything. You've sent in the receipts over to the adjuster. There is no definitive set time period when you send in receipts. We have to remember that this is a very large, unprecedented event. That's certainly not an excuse, but just to highlight that there are many things that are going on that do happen behind the scenes at the insurance companies, and they really are doing their best to get back to you as soon as you can. It sounds like you've been waiting a period of time and you do need to get some resolution on that. You're waiting to be reimbursed for a number of things. On our website at ibc.ca, we do have a process outlining what to do if you disagree with your adjuster and what does that escalation process look like. So at a very high level from that end, you can contact the adjuster. You've already done that. If the actual adjuster isn't getting back to you, you can escalate it to a supervisor or to a manager. Ask them to review your file and try to get some timelines and expectations for when you can expect to receive an answer from them. If they're still not able to assist, at any time you can contact one of our consumer information officers and they may be able to assist. Now, IBC is not the regulator, but we can certainly ask the questions and try to provide some answers for you. So our consumer information officers can be reached by phone at 1-84-42-ASK-IBC. Thank you for the call, Noreen.
Thanks again for the great question, Noreen, and thank you, Rob, for that. I'm also going to go to Jeanette Bankars, the chair of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee.
Sure. Thanks, Noreen, for your great question. What I've done is I've taken your number down. Someone from IBC will be calling you tomorrow to get more details on your specific situation and see if we can help you out a little bit more.
Thanks, Jeanette, and thank you, Noreen, once again. Just like to remind everyone out there, we've got about 20 minutes left in our call. If you'd like to ask a question, press star 3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to one of our awesome operators. If you are joining us online, please type your question into the question field, rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to go back to the phones. Our next question is from Louise. Louise, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Go right ahead with your question.
Yeah, I just have a question for behind the green homes in Abasand, behind Athabasca Avenue. The city had to cut out all the trees, and the problem is there's standing water back there, and there's a lot of water from the rainfall. Some of the water's even in people's backyards. Just wondering when the city's going to do some draining.
Well, thanks so much, Louise, for the question. It's a good one and certainly something on the mind of some of our Abasand residents. Going to send it to Aaron O'Neill, our operations lead in recovery. Aaron, go right ahead.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Louise, for your question. We have done an overall assessment of all of the fire-damaged areas or the dozer guard areas and have identified 116 locations where the water is pooling, and we do plan to have all of that water mitigated and channeled out of those areas by the end of October. So that work is progressing along so that water pooling is no longer causing residents a problem.
Well, thanks so much, Aaron, and thank you, Louise, for the question. We're going to go back to our online portion. This question's from Lori, and we think it's a different Lori than we had before, but we're going to keep going. So this one says, does every home in Abasand require the engineer to stamp the plans, even if you're planning to rebuild the exact same home? So I don't know if there's an insurance requirement as well. I'm not sure. I'm going to go to Aaron O'Neill first, our recovery branch lead, and then if IBC would like to weigh in from their end.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Lori, for the question. You are required to submit a site plan when you submit your permit. Now, if you're wondering how to do a site plan, you can contact a surveyor. There is also a document online of how to draw your own site plan, and that can be found on rmwb.ca. So that does provide some background information, but there's not a requirement to have an engineer to stamp your plan. You just have to provide the site plan and any other requirements that are requested by the development officer at the time you're submitting your permit.
Well, thanks so much, Sharon, for that. We'll also go to Rob Dupree with IBC and then Jeanette Bankars, our chair of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee. Go ahead, guys.
And thank you very much for the question. In relation to a rebuild, I would like to remind our callers that under your insurance policy, if you do have a replacement cost policy, the policy will put you back into the same position that you were in. So if you did have some existing plans for the way that your house was built, those plans may be able to be used again when you're going through the process for determining the valuation for the actual home. The builder would need to be complying with all the Alberta Building Code and the municipal requirements when they're actually building the actual home, and they'll have to go through the inspection process as well at a number of different intervals. There is some information on the rmwb.ca website that outlines some of the inspection requirements. I hope that helps answer your question.
Thanks so much for your question. I can hear Marty whispering in my ear almost about don't wait to submit your applications for development. And of course, as you know, the more accurate and thorough your submissions are, the faster they'll get through the process. We've had a couple questions already about will the process be streamlined or some sort of quick application. Really, it's just get in the queue, and we are working as fast as we can to make sure that your requests are done as quickly as possible. And we just look to you for your support with regards to your submissions. If you have questions, our experts at our Powder Drive location will certainly assist you in getting your submission in so that it is gone through as quickly as possible with respect to thoroughness and accuracy. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much, Lori, for the question. And I'll also remind you, last week's Here For You session, our community engagement session at Shell Place, did outline the building process, the permitting process. It might not have as detailed a question as you have, but you can view that presentation online at rmwb.ca/engage. So you can view that presentation in its entirety, and that's where we post all of our engagement session recaps as well as videos. And related to that, I'm going to go to the phones. Is Dennis there?
Yes.
Hi, Dennis. How you doing?
Not too bad. My question is for the people without insurance for the structure payments, is that going to be addressed on Wednesday's meeting? And will the meeting be on telephone like it is tonight?
Well, thanks so much, Dennis, for the question. About tomorrow night's meeting, I'll first go to Jeanette Bankars, our chair of the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee, and then I'll speak to the public engagement session on Thursday night. So, Jeanette, the question was about for uninsured and underinsured people, will tomorrow's meeting be on the telephone?
So I think the meeting you're referring to is the Wednesday public meeting for the Recovery Committee, and so we will have a presentation from our working group that is working to put together a lot of solutions for those that are uninsured and underinsured with respect to repairing homes that are still standing and also rebuilding homes that have been destroyed by fire. And so some of those solutions look like taking advantage of a volunteer base that are expert in this and travel from disaster to disaster doing this kind of work, rebuilding homes and repairing homes, to actually looking to see what kind of financing and maybe mortgage support can be brought to the table, looking to coordinate any gifts in kind, such as paint, building materials, those kind of things. So encourage you to live stream on Wednesday night, and if you can't do that, please come on Thursday to the engagement from 4 till 8 at Shell Place at McDonald Island Park. We will have most of those experts there to assist with your questions.
Well, thanks so much for the question, Dennis, and thank you, Jeanette. Also remind people that they want to take in tomorrow's meeting or any Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee meeting, you can watch those meetings online at rmwb.ca or live on Shaw TV, Channel 10, a great partnership with Shaw Communications. We thank them for their support as well in helping us get our message out. So absolutely right, Jeanette, tomorrow night, and then on Thursday as well at Shell Place, a special session focused on those in our community who are underinsured or uninsured as we go through this recovery process together. So we're going to move right along. We're going to go to our next question here. This one also on the phone. Derek, are you there? Hi, Derek. How you doing?
No, you don't.
Derek, are you
Good.
there?
Hello?
Hi, Derek.
Hi.
Hi. Please go right ahead with your question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, as far as timelines go, I'm out at Sapper Creek, and I'm not sure. There's kind of been, they started doing some cleanup out there, doing, some removal of the steel and whatnot, but they ran into some issues with, there's like 283 cubic meters of water in my basement, and the specs, I guess the contractor that's doing the work said it'd be $63,000 to remove the water because it's contaminated, and my insurance company's questioning that, and I don't know if it's going to if that even makes sense. Like, that seems like an awful amount of money, and if there's if they're just going to, like, it looks like the work stopped, so I'm not sure if they're going to get it done in time. And I was wondering how that'll play out. Like, if it goes over.
Sorry to interrupt you there at the end. Thank you so much, Derek, for the question, and stand with you as you go throughout this process. We're going to go to Mike Kirkwood with Specs. If you could take that one for us, thanks.
Derek, thank you very much for your question, and it's certainly a good question. We have run into the circumstance in a number of properties throughout the area where water has infiltrated the foundations. Now, the $63,000 estimate does seem pretty rich to me as well. May have reached you inadvertently before our review had been completed. I can assure you that those prices have come down substantially. And I have your contact information here, Derek, so I will make sure that one of our people here in Fort McMurray reach out to you to explain the whole process. We also have spent quite a bit of time with all of the insurers to make sure that they're aware of this issue. The equipment that is required is expensive, and it's time-consuming and requires a great deal of coordination. So it is more expensive than one would normally expect, but we have to listen to what the contractors tell us. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Mike. Thank you, Derek, for the question. We'll also go to Rob Dupree with the Insurance Bureau of Canada to add to that. Rob?
And thank you very much. And Derek, thank you for the question. I want to reassure you that under your insurance policy with the debris removal, if there are some additional work that needs to be done and that needs to be quoted, that information will be sent over to the adjuster as well for review. So the adjuster will review it, and subject to the terms and limits of your individual insurance policy that you have, those costs should be covered under your insurance policy. So that information, I can assure you, will be going through the appropriate channels and be vetted through the insurance company. And if they're approving the cost, they're going to be taking care of those costs on your behalf. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Rob, and thank you, Mike. Thank you, Derek, for the great question. This one coming in online, a question from Sean. Sean is asking, he purchased his home in 2004 and does not have the original building plans. Is there somewhere we could go to get the original house plans? I'll allow Aaron O'Neill, formerly our recovery branch lead, now our operations branch lead with the task force.
Thank you for the question. Yes, you can contact our Planning and Development Office or visit them at 309 Powder Drive. There you can view your property file, and any documents within your property file can be photocopied for you so that you can have them. You can also reach out to our Planning and Development Office, and they can actually email you those documents of your property file as well. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron, and thank you, Sean, for the question. We have about 10 minutes remaining in our call tonight, so I'd just like to remind everybody, if you'd like to ask a question, please go right ahead by pressing *3 on your phone's keypad and give your question to one of our superb operators. If you're joining us online tonight, please type your question into the question field at rmwb.ca/townhall. We're going to go back to our online portion. I have a lot of online questions tonight. This one from Grace. Grace is asking a question, I think it's for the Red Cross. She's asking, Red Cross, how do you decide who and who doesn't receive financial assistance? So maybe, Melanie, you can just speak to the overall process that exists. Thanks.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Grace, for your question. Our case assessment process looks at families and individuals and their own unique needs. The Canadian Red Cross cannot duplicate any assistance that's provided by insurance or other programs. In the event that individuals are covered by insurance, however, are still experiencing hardship due to extensions in credit lines or personal extenuating circumstances that are throwing them into disarray, our case assessment process allows for that. So I would encourage you to continue to work with our caseworkers, to be patient as we go through the client assessment process, and speak with your caseworker about any uniqueness about your case in particular. For those who are underinsured or uninsured, the process can be more straightforward. But again, other situations such as special needs within a household, unique employment circumstances, health issues, or emerging stress around safety and well-being can also factor into how our client assessment process unfolds.
Well, thank you so much, Grace, for the question. Thank you, Melanie, once again for that comprehensive follow-up answer. I'm going to go back to our online portion here. This question is from Suzanne. It might be one for Aaron or Dana, depending on who would like to take it. She's asking, at this point, when could we expect to hear back about flood mitigation in waterways? So good question from Suzanne. I'll allow Dana or Aaron to weigh in on that one.
So Suzanne, thank you for the question. It's Dana. I want to be careful because the answer is outside my purview. It rests with the Government of Alberta. They will make a considered decision based on potential policy impacts down the road. But I'm confident that the information they require to make a decision was provided by the RMWB. They have it in hand, and in due course, they will decide and inform us. Not the answer you want, but the reality that I'm speaking to you is I don't know when they will decide, but I know they have the information and the authority to do so.
Well, thank you so much, Suzanne, for the question. Certainly on the mind of a lot of our residents in waterways, and thank you, Dana. So we are going to go back to our online portion. We're going to go back to the phone. Sorry about that. Shelley, are you there?
I am. Good evening. My question for you tonight is, when we were first restricted in Abbotsford, Beacon Hill, and waterways, the reason was soil testing, and I haven't heard anything about the final results of this testing that kept us out of our homes.
Well, thank you so much, Shelley, for the question. I'll once again go to Dana Woodworth, our interim team lead.
Hi, thanks for the question. There is a website, and I apologize, I don't have the exact address to give you, but the actual 62 soil samples that were taken for phase 2 testing were analyzed, and an executive summary was provided and posted to the Government of Alberta's website. And I think we have your number, and we'll point you towards it so you can read it. So that's the second round of testing, and there remains a desire on behalf of the Government of Alberta and the RMWB to do a third round of testing in the green areas and the public spaces that we are responsible for. So it is online. There's a high-level overview. We will send you the link based on your phone number, and we do intend to do a third round of testing for public spaces.
Well, thank you so much for that, Suzanne. Thank you, Dana. I know the website is at alberta.ca, and we'll make sure to contact you following the call or first thing tomorrow to get you that information. You'll be able to read all the results of Phase 1 testing and Phase 2 testing as well that would have impacted the Abasand neighborhood. So just a few more questions remaining on our call tonight. We are going to go back to our online portion. This question is from Greg. He's asking, are property taxes still being collected for property destroyed in the fire? So I will go to, I guess, Aaron O'Neill, our recovery branch lead. Sorry, our operations branch lead, Aaron. I know you got a new title. And maybe if Councillor Germain or Councillor Vinnie would like to weigh in on the taxation relief that was approved by Council.
Thank you, Adam. The taxation relief that was approved by Council for all damaged and destroyed homes is waived until the end of December 2016. It cannot be waived going forward into 2017 because those taxes have not been levied at this point. For any residents that were out of their home for the month of May, that 1 month period is being taken away, and for the residents that were out of their homes due to the restricted areas for the months that they were out of the home, the taxes is being waived during that period as well.
Thanks so much for that, Aaron. I'll also go to Marty Giles if he's up there. I know the committee played a huge role in bringing forward that recommendation. I know we have our councillors here, and it was a big piece of what happened initially. Marty, would you like to weigh in on that one?
I'd love to weigh in on it. Thanks, Adam. How the math will work will be very Doug. It'll be the overall principle of it, because, for example, myself with our house, we paid our taxes basically for the next year, so it might have to be a catch-up thing in 2017. So the motion really, if I look at it, what we made the other day, 2017, the 112. Everybody got that was kind of a motion because that we a motion that we made to get a 112 of their taxes back. Now I've been doing some research on the Municipal Government Act, and some things we made in the motion probably didn't even have to be made because how it works is they actually take the tax roll and they base your value of property into that whole tax roll, and you get tax based on that. So, for example, if it costs $100 billion to run the municipality, and you have a $1 billion property, basically, you'd be paying 1% of the whole tax roll, I guess, into those situations, and it's not based on services. I thought, I was thinking to myself out in Sapper Creek, no one's picking up my garbage. How come I'm paying tax? No one's doing this. How come I'm paying tax? But really, it's really my own personal situation. Our value of our property's gone down a lot. So actually, next year when the tax comes around, I'll only be taxed as a lot. So it has nothing really to do again with services. So those people who had destroyed homes, although it may take a year to kind of work its way through, you will be only taxed on the value of property that you have. And then our motion is to try and have even that way. But we have our friends at the Government of Alberta that need to hopefully help us with that a little bit as well. So you're going to get something. How it's going to work and exactly, we don't know yet. But there's definitely going to be relief forthcoming.
Thanks so much for your question. It's Jeanette here. So with regards to the taxation relief, it is somewhat of a complex question. And so the motion was made with regards to what tax relief is being provided, but what hasn't been finalized at this point is the process for waiving those taxes or providing that relief. And when we do get an answer on how that's going to be done, it certainly will be communicated to everybody. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the question, Greg. Thank you so much, Aaron, for taking that, as well as Jeanette and Marty, and thank you to Council for their approval on residential taxation relief. Before we close out the call, I'd like to ask our WVRC Chair, Jeanette Bankhurst, to make some closing remarks. Jeanette?
Thanks, Adam. And thank you for joining us again this evening. As community recovery continues, I hope some of you are able to attend our public meeting on Wednesday and the various community engagement opportunities this week and throughout the weekend. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Jeanette. A full audio replay will be available soon at rmwv.ca/townhall. We do recognize that not everyone's question was answered tonight. We thank you for your understanding as we do our best to answer similar questions that have been submitted throughout the call. In addition to our regular community engagement sessions every Thursday, to connect with us, you can visit rmwb.ca or call or email Pulse 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 780-743-7000 and pulse@rmwb.ca. If you have a recovery-specific question for the Wood Buffalo Recovery Committee or the task force, you can also email recovery@rmwb.ca. Just another reminder for our council meetings or for committee meetings happening on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. Those meetings are always streamed online at rmwb.ca, or you can watch them live on Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, Channel 10. The next telephone town hall is Monday, September 26th at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Have a good evening as we remain here for you, safe, resilient, and together. Thank you.